And it goes a little something like this. Sam Sevian opens with the king pawn. Magnus plays the Nimzovich defense. I mean, look at it. It's ugly. It offends the eyes. You're not properly fighting for the center. And after knight f3, he plays the absolute stinker. Pawn f5. Known as the Nimzovich defense, declined Colorado Countergambit, and boy is it ugly. Takes is played by Sam Sevian, his young opponent from the USA, the youngest US Grandmaster in history. Once upon a time, then Mishra came along and everything, spoiled the party. This is titled Tuesday, just played today, 17th of February. Magnus with black, of course, here, and he's following up with d5. Online chess, 5 minutes each. And look at the light squares around the king. It's truly ugly. The king's lifted the kilt. Now we see bishop b5, playing to dominate this e5 square. And Magnus recaptures with the bishop. Apologies for the voice here. I'm a little bit tired this evening. Castles is played right now and pawn to e6. And this is a very ugly structure. Now I was expecting d4 here. Rook e1, just dominate the square. But no, we get knight d4. Slightly different way of playing here. Magnus goes with knight e7 now. You know, he's got a bit of a problem with this one here plus here. So he tries to cover all bases. With that knight g to e7, we get Chewbacca's favourite move, the rook e1. And because the weak e6 pawn is attacked, it has to be given some love. That's what Queenie does here. And of course it prepares this castle's queenside. Lovely jubbly system. But we see bishop takes on c6 check, interrupting rudely. The knight can't be capturing here, or knight takes on f5. And you're actually winning a piece due to the pin. So we see pawn takes, mangling the structure. Queen takes not advisable, by the way, not ideal. Queen e2 now played, piling on this pawn, and it's why Magnus now plays the response. King d7. Boy, is that a horrible move. Who wants their king in the centre on move 9? d3 calmly develops, and I love this next move because Magnus pushes on with the c pawn here. We see knight takes on f5, knight recaptures. Now it is black with this big black centre, BBC for short, but watch how it's undermined. Watch how Sevian now dominates this outpost. Bishop f4, what a move that is. If queen takes, you've left the protection. So you follow up with the old jab and hook, check, mate, wowzer. So you can't take the bishop. So in response, Magnus plays the best move, the tricky knight d4. He's galloping in like a stallion, saying you take me, I take you with check. Very nice. So queen d2 is played, best move. Now queen c6 and pawn c3. Get out of my grill, you're all up in my territory, don't want you there. The queen now slides back, prepares to develop the knight. Rook e8 on the board, knight d2, and you'd love to liberate, right? Something like this, but you can just take. Yes, you're walking into a pin, but there's no way to properly exploit it. d4's coming. You could maybe even go for some f4 business. Knight f3. The pin's no issue. So we don't see e5. Bishop d6 from Magnus, preparing e5 more realistically now, and so that's why the bishop sits on the square, sits on the head of this pawn like a sumo wrestler, suffocating. This is a bit of a nasty x-ray, and so rook h to g8 is played by Magnus. The queen activates, hits a pawn, defended, queen g6. I mean, that is a beautiful white widow spider spraying in many directions, not quite centralized, but putting tons of pressure on all the pieces. Magnus doesn't like it, hops back, kicks the queen out. She drops to g4 now. Notice how she's playing on all the light squares. Black has no light squared bishop. Knight f5, back once more. This knight spinning around. I mean, good luck ever trying to play e5 now in this game. g5 therefore on the board. But whilst this looks aggressive, it is rather weakening. And Sam Sevian just calmly goes h3. Magnus gets his running shoes on, and now he doubles these rooks. Yes, they're not the most absolute precise moves, but he is squeezing Magnus by the kahunas, the pineapples, call them what you will. Pineapple may be the slightly wrong fruit. Let's not go there. Rook ae1 now doubles on the e-file. King b7, I mean, I guess I already went there, but let's not go further there. Now we see queen h5, more light squared strategy here, and bishop d8 from Magnus opens the eyes of the rook, covers the pawn a little more, but look, he's shuffling, right? Desperately clinging on to these pawns in the position, a little bit cramped. White's having the fun. g4, win a pawn, well, it's a bit weakening. b3 was selected instead. Okay, can't explain it, but looks nice. Now we see knight h4, and it looks for the counterplay. You know, takes, pawn recaptures, defended by the bishop, open the g-file. Still great for white, but it's counterplay. Bishop g3. I mean, what's going on here? Surely Magnus is about to just get pulverized, right? But this is Magnus. We know what he does. Put it this way. That bar is soon going to be leveling out. Watch this. First queen h5. Hit some stuff. Queen a6 on the board. This pawn attacked. I mean, this one too. But it's defended. So the explosive c4 in response. dc. dc. Now we need some ac. Bishop f6 is played. Just been listening to a podcast, by the way, about Nikola and that other guy, Edison. Really interesting history of electricity. It's some shocking stuff. Now we see queen takes on h6, pressuring more points, and queen a5. I don't really know what Magnus is doing, but it puts some pressure on the dark squares. I mean, that's his big battleground with the way his pieces are. Go for f2 maybe, but let's be honest here. White is much better. Look at this structure of pawns, really one that only a mother could love. The queen's all up in the grill of black, really putting the pressure. So Magnus at least directs that Pope D the fourth, stuttering over my words here, and it does beg a very important question. Why can't you win this pawn? Clean and simple. Well, there's a response here that gives black a bit of counterplay. Queen takes on e1. Check. So you sort of rip out the bottom of the ladder there. Rook recaptures. Now white's still a lot better here, but it gets a bit weird. Two rooks versus the queen. Yes, these pawns should be winning it. Exposed king, but okay. Sam Sevian doesn't want those complications. He wants to maintain the control, the pressure. Now Magnus pushes e5. That one's soon going to drop, right? Surely. But let's follow the game. The G pawn drops instead. It's like giving candy to a baby right now. What's the phrase? Taking candy from a baby. Losing my touch. Queen G4. Really nice little move. Just securing the light squares here. Very, very instructive play. A5 in response. This rook centralizes. And now the pawn is nabbed off. Sevian gave the pawn. Now this is not the cleanest way to take advantage of the better position. Let's be honest. But it's still very good. You have to do something about that pin. Queen G3 is best, but this is played. It simplifies to an endgame, but hang on a minute. Sam, you are playing the endgame go. A guy who loves the queens off the board here. This is a bold move. And sure enough, within just a few moves, it backfires horrendously. H4 is a great idea. Get them running like prime Yasser Serwan. Magnus liquidates these two and then gets the c-pawn running. This is why I played this move. Distract the b-pawn, run the c-pawn, and it forces a really bad blunder from Sevian. His best move here, h5. Push 'em, baby. It's what they say. Often the old rules are the best rules. But instead we get rook e6 check. It gets those double question marks of doom because the king steps up. Check, takes, rook takes, and it looks great. White's behind the pawn. Lovely jubbly. But after rook takes on a4, h5, you can now play king d6. But we're in the back cave. Magnus misses it. And the reason this is so strong is you can't stay on the c file. If you go there, king d7, king c5, king d6. Because of where this pawn stands, you can't actually stay behind it without allowing a repetition. If you step away from the c file, let's say to f1, preparing this and this, well, after the black pawn pushes, if you immediately drop back, does rook h4 check, picking up a pawn, it's a drawn endgame. So what if you go king g3, cover this square, prepare to run? Well, then there's a number of moves, but this works. Something like this, the rook has to blockade, and simply the king marches in. And although you can get the pawns going, they're blockaded, eventually won, and there's just nothing you can do. It leads to a draw. So this was a drawing move, amazingly. Chess is so difficult to convert at times, but missed. Magnus steps in, escorting the pawn home with the king, so understandable. The shepherd with the sheep, something like that. Again, this is a mistake. Rook a6, apparently a killer in terms of holding the draw, but Magnus misses once more. Sorry, no he doesn't. He finds it. h7, rook h6 check, king g3. But now he needs to step with king e5. I mean, this stuff is really far from obvious at this stage. Instead, we see pawn c3. Bang, it's advantage back to Sevian. He steps in with the king, shouldering out this one. G-pawn's about to run. King d3, king g5, and this is the best winning technique. Hit the rook, it drops off, king steps all the way in, c2, and after king g7, Magnus resigns. Because what to do? If you queen the pawn, this, and white wins here. Queen against rook, plus an extra pawn. If you don't queen, if you step in with your own king, then white can queen, you give up the rook, and the g-pawn wins the day. This is the big problem, the sting at the end of the tail. Let's run back. Final position, it's not what you thought. No Magnus comeback today, I'm afraid. He gets spanked and punished for playing this very dubious opening, and he had a terrible tournament altogether. I'll bring you the winner tomorrow in another game, I think. I'll see how things go. Thanks as always for watching and all your support, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a look at the video on screen for some more epic chess. Cheers.